AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
Welcome to From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers. A podcast brought to you by College Recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career, and hosted by Work Defined. Join our AI co-hosts as they dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Let's get your career started.
You know that feeling, right? You're brimming with potential, ready to jump into the professional world, but every single job listing seems to ask for 2, 3, sometimes even 5 years of experience you just haven't had the chance to get yet.
Oh, yeah.
It's a classic catch-22, and it feels like you're stuck before you've even started. How do you, fresh out of the dorms or maybe pivoting careers, transform all those rich, non-traditional experiences into something that grabs a hiring manager's attention and helps you land that first desk?
It's more than just a feeling. It's a really common hurdle many face, especially when you're making that big transition from academic life to, the professional world.
Right.
And that's precisely the challenge we're diving deep into today. Our mission, really, is to equip you with the strategic knowledge and practical tools to craft a resume and cover letter that doesn't just list what you've done, but powerfully communicates your potential and the value you bring.
Okay.
We're going to help you unlock the power of all your experiences, transforming them into a compelling career story that truly opens doors.
And we're not just offering opinions here, are we? We've gone to the absolute experts to bring you this deep dive. We're talking about insights from the Mignon Center for Career Success at Harvard University, practical, actionable advice for places like Resume Genius and Novo Resume, some cutting-edge guidance from Coursera, and crucially, perspectives from College Recruiter, who really get the needs of early career talent.
Yeah, absolutely. These sources represent a diverse, expert, and very pragmatic approach. It's all designed to give you a real advantage.
Right.
The goal here isn't just to summarize. It's to provide you with a kind of mental toolkit, showing you how to confidently articulate every valuable experience you've gathered. Because when you truly understand the hidden value in your unique journey, your application won't just meet expectations. It will genuinely stand out.
Okay. Let's unpack this and jump right into crafting that critical first impression. So let's kick things off with the fundamental document about it, the resume. We often think of it as just a list of old jobs, but what is it really in the eyes of a recruiter?
That's a crucial distinction to make. The Mignon Center at Harvard defines a resume as a brief, informative summary of your abilities, education, and experience relevant to the role you're applying for.
Okay.
But beyond just that definition, it's a critical bridge. It's the first tangible piece of evidence of your professional self. It's designed not just to inform, but to spark curiosity enough to land you an interview.
Ah, like a movie trailer.
Exactly. Think of it as your professional movie trailer giving just enough compelling footage, hinting at your capabilities to make them want to see the whole feature. Its core purpose is really to highlight your strongest assets and skills and to genuinely differentiate you from other candidates who are going for similar positions.
I love that analogy, a professional trailer, because the reality is recruiters are moving fast. We hear they spend, less than 30 seconds reviewing a resume on average.
Yeah, sometimes even less.
That's an astonishingly small window. Why is it so brief, and what does that mean for how we actually design this document?
Well, it's not arbitrary. It's really a reflection of sheer volume and cognitive load.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine a hiring manager sorting through hundreds, maybe thousands of applications for a single role.
Wow.
Their brain becomes a rapid pattern matcher, not a deep reader. Your resume needs to be almost like a yes-no decision machine for them, not a long story.
Right.
That 30-second rule means your resume has to be super scannable, visually appealing, and immediately communicate your fit. If it's not instantly clear how you align with the role, you risk being overlooked simply because they don't have the luxury of deep diving into every single application.
Okay.
The purpose isn't to guarantee a job, obviously, but Harvard calls it an important element toward obtaining an interview. So every word, every section needs to be clear, concise, and really easy to skim.
And that leads us perfectly into maybe the single most critical principle of resume creation, the art of tailoring. This isn't just a suggestion, right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely non-negotiable for success.
Precisely. Your resume absolutely must be tailored to the type of position you are seeking. This isn't about making things up or being dishonest, of course.
Sure.
It just means your resume should strategically reflect the specific skills, experience, and impact the employer would value for that specific role. It's about choosing what to emphasize, what language to use, how to frame your accomplishments. So, for example, if you're applying for a marketing role, you'd highlight communication and project management skills from, say, a campus event you organized, rather than focusing heavily on your customer service skills from a retail job, even if both were important experiences for you.
Okay, that makes sense. And what's fascinating here is that this tailoring isn't just for the human eyes of a hiring manager anymore, right? It's also absolutely crucial for applicant tracking systems, or ATS.
Oh, definitely.
We hear a lot about these, and they can feel a bit mysterious, almost like a black box. What exactly are these systems, and why are they so critical for tailoring?
That's a great point. Yeah, imagine ATS is a really meticulous but incredibly literal gatekeepers. These are the software programs that tons of companies use now to scan and filter resumes for keywords before a human ever even sees them.
Okay.
It's not reading for nuance or subtext. It's scanning for exact or very close matches from the job description itself. So if the job description says proficient in project management software, and your resume maybe says expert with PM tools, the ATS might not make that connection. It's pretty literal.
Right, it needs the exact words.
Pretty much. It's why mirroring their language, integrating those vital keywords and phrases directly from the job description is like speaking directly to the machine. It just significantly increases your chances of getting past that initial automated screening and actually landing in the hands of a human recruiter.
So tailoring is our secret weapon. Got it. But even with the best intentions, it sounds surprisingly easy to trip up. Let's look at some of the most common pitfalls that can derail even a perfectly tailored resume. Harvard Extension School highlights some frequent mistakes that can immediately disqualify you.
Yeah, and they're often deceptively simple, but they have a huge impact. The number one and truly non-negotiable mistake is spelling and grammar errors.
No, definitely.
This isn't just about looking sloppy. It's a major red flag for attention to detail, which is critical in almost any role. It just signals a lack of care. You know, if you can't care about your own application, the thinking goes, how will you care about the job?
That's so true. I mean, you'd think everyone proofreads right, but the impact of just one typo can be really profound.
Absolutely. The second major pitfall is missing or incorrect contact information. You'd be surprised how often basic errors like a mistyped email or phone number pop up. Yeah, it's total self-sabotage if they can't reach you. Third, using passive language instead of strong action words. Your resume should feel dynamic. It should highlight what you actually did, not just what happened around you.
Direct voice, yeah.
Exactly. Fourth, a resume that's not well organized, concise, or easy to skim. Remember that 30-second rule. If it's just a dense wall of text, it's likely getting tossed immediately.
Makes sense.
And finally, number 5 is not tailoring the resume to the specific position or industry you're applying for, which, as we've said, is just a critical misstep.
Beyond those top 5, Harvard HES and Stanford Career Education provide some really clear don'ts that often catch people out, like avoid personal pronouns I, me, or we. Why is that such a strong recommendation?
Well, it shifts the focus. It moves it from a personal story to a professional summary of your accomplishments. Your resume is really a document of facts and achievements, not, a diary entry.
Yeah.
It just keeps the tone objective and impactful. Also, definitely avoid abbreviations unless they're universally understood in your field. And don't use a narrative writing style. Your resume is not an essay.
Right.
Don't number or letter sections within your bullet points, and definitely steer clear of slang or colloquialisms. Keep it professional.
Got it.
And this one's important. Unless you're applying for a very specific role where appearance is actually part of the job, like modeling or acting, do not include a picture, your age, marital status, or references directly on the resume.
So no headshot then. And what about that old line, references available upon request?
That's the correct approach. You can simply state references available upon request, maybe on a separate document you bring to an interview, or often just don't include it at all. Employers will ask for them when they're ready.
Okay.
You also want to ensure consistency. Don't start each line with a date. Keep the dates maybe at the end of the line or in a consistent location on the right. And for formatting, these might seem minor, but they really help readability. Keep your margins no smaller than 1 inch and your font no smaller than 10 point.
Ah, good tip.
Yeah, anything smaller becomes visually taxing and kind of suggests you're trying to cram too much in, which goes against that whole brevity principle.
So we know what to avoid. Now let's flip that. What are the actions that truly elevate your resume and make it sing? What are the key do's?
Right. The do's are all about clarity, professionalism, and impact. First, always tailor your content to the specific positions you seek. That's foundational. Second, be meticulously consistent in your format and content throughout the whole document. Consistent spacing, consistent bullet points, consistent date formats. It all signals attention to detail.
Okay.
Third, make it easy to read and follow. Pay attention to balancing white space so it doesn't look too crammed. A cluttered resume is just a confusing resume.
I can just picture a recruiter's eyes glazing over a dense, inconsistent document.
Exactly. Fourth, use consistent spacing, underlining, italics, bold, and capitalization for emphasis, but use them sparingly and intentionally. Don't go crazy with the bolding.
Got it.
Fifth, for your headings, list them in order of importance. Typically that's education, then experience for recent grads, or maybe experience then education for more seasoned folks.
Right.
And within those headings, always list information in reverse chronological order, with your most recent experience first. That's the standard recruiters expect.
Okay.
Finally, and this is crucial, convey your impact. Quantify and qualify your accomplishments whenever possible. Use numbers. And always proofread thoroughly. Better yet, get others to review it too. A fresh pair of eyes can catch things you've just stopped seeing.
That emphasis on conveying impact brings us nicely to crafting truly impactful language. It's not just about what you say, but how you say it. What makes resume language powerful?
Well, your resume language should be specific rather than general. So instead of just saying managed a team, try to describe what the team managed, how many members it had, and what outcomes were achieved, like managed a team of 5 engineers to deliver Project X on time.
Much better.
Yeah. It needs to be active rather than passive. You didn't just participate in a project. You led a project or developed a strategy or analyzed data. This shifts the narrative from I was just there to I made this happen. A powerful verb tells a recruiter in a single glance that you're a doer, not just an observer.
So it's about making sure your contribution is undeniable.
Precisely. The language should be written to express, not impress. That means it should be articulate rather than, flowery or overly wordy.
Right. Keep it straightforward.
Yeah, and it needs to be fact-based. Quantify and qualify whenever you can. Think numbers, percentages, specific outcomes. These are the hard data points that recruiters really respond to. And critically, remember, it's written for people who scan quickly, so it needs to be digestible at a glance. Each bullet point should be a concise, impactful statement. No long paragraphs.
This is where those powerful action verbs come in, right? They're like the engines driving your bullet points.
Absolutely. Action verbs are absolutely vital for starting each bullet point because they immediately communicate what you did and the impact you had. It's not just about using a strong word. It's about shifting that narrative from I was there to I made this happen.
Okay.
So, for instance, using Harvard's list as a guide, under leadership, you might use verbs like accomplished, administered, coordinated, developed, led, or supervised. These instantly tell a recruiter you took charge.
So instead of was a part of a team that achieved X, you'd say led a team of 4 to achieve X. That's a huge difference in conveying leadership, isn't it?
It's a massive difference. For communication, think about verbs like addressed, authored, collaborated, developed, edited, presented, or wrote. These really highlight your ability to convey ideas clearly. In research, effective verbs include analyzed, conducted, discovered, evaluated, investigated, or tested. If you have technical skills, use verbs like assembled, built, designed, engineered, programmed, solved, or upgraded. And for quantitative achievements, which are always impressive if you can include them, you could use administered, analyzed, budgeted, calculated, forecasted, managed, or maximized. These verbs help you describe your impact, not just your duties. Even if the experience comes from, say, a class project or a volunteer role, they tell a powerful story of what you can actually achieve.
Now that we understand the power of language, let's look at the essential sections you need to include in your resume, starting right at the very top. Your contact information seems basic, but it's non-negotiable.
Correct. And it needs to be crystal clear and totally professional. Include your full name, a professional email address. Definitely think firstname.lastname@email.com, not, surferdude88@email.com or something.
Right, definitely not.
Your phone number and your city and state. For roles where location might be less relevant, maybe just city, state is fine. Optionally, you can add your LinkedIn profile URL, especially if it's well-maintained and professional.
Good point.
And maybe a professional website or portfolio if it's relevant to the jobs you're applying for, like if you're a designer, writer, or developer.
Okay. Next up, you have an important choice to make. An objective or a summary statement. What's the difference and who should use which one?
Yeah, it's crucial to understand the distinction and choose wisely based on your experience level. If you're a recent graduate, maybe a student with limited traditional work experience, or just starting out in your career, an objective statement is usually more appropriate.
Okay.
This is generally a concise, maybe 2 to 5 sentence paragraph that outlines your key skills, your immediate career goals, and really showcases your enthusiasm for the position. It tells the employer what you're looking for and what you bring to the table.
Like what? Give me an example.
Sure. Something like highly motivated recent graduate with strong analytical skills seeking a data analyst position where I can leverage my academic background in statistics and passion for problem solving to contribute to team success.
Yeah.
See? Specific role, key skills, contribution.
Got it. So it's about stating your intent and what you hope to achieve for them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, for more experienced professionals, a summary is usually better. This is typically a brief, maybe 1 to 3 sentence description of your overall experience and qualifications, highlighting your top achievements or skills right up front.
Oh.
Both of these sections, though, the objective or the summary, should be carefully crafted to emphasize traits and skills that are directly pulled from the job description you're targeting. They're like a quick snapshot to hook the reader immediately.
Then we get to education, which for many of our listeners coming from dorms to desks is probably a pivotal section, what absolutely needs to be here.
You should always include your degree-granting institutions, listed with the most recent one first. Specify the full degree you received. Be precise, like Bachelor of Science in Marketing, not just marketing degree. Include your major and your graduation date or your projected graduation date.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are some valuable optional details you can add, especially if your work experience section is a bit light. Things like minors or specialization areas, relevant coursework, maybe list specific course titles like data modeling or advanced Java programming if they directly align with the job.
Good idea.
Your GPA, if it's strong, say above a 3.5, otherwise probably best to omit it. Any honors or awards like Dean's List, and maybe the title of a significant senior research project or thesis if it's relevant.
Okay.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. Stop waiting around for the perfect candidate. Instead, use Indeed-sponsored jobs to find the right people with the right skills fast. It's a simple way to make sure your listing is the first candidates see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs have 4 times more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. So go build your dream team today with Indeed. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
And what about high school?
For freshmen and sophomores in college, it's perfectly acceptable to include your high school information, especially if you had significant achievements there that show leadership or specific skills. Once you're further along, you generally drop it.
Makes sense. Moving to skills, this can sometimes be a dedicated section, especially for technical roles. But it's not just a standalone list, is it?
No, not at all. A dedicated skills section is great for hard technical competencies. Things like programming languages, Python, Java, C++, specific software proficiencies, Adobe Creative Suite, Salesforce, specific CAD software, or specialized tools, lab equipment, statistical software like R or SPSS.
Right.
But it's absolutely critical to remember that skills should also be woven throughout other sections of your resume. Don't just list project management as a skill. Demonstrate its practical application within your experience, bullet points.
How so?
Like instead of just listing it under a project description, write something like, managed a project budget of $5,000 for a university-wide event, coordinating 10 volunteers and delivering a successful outcome 3 days ahead of schedule. See, that shows not just what you know, but how you've used it to achieve actual results. That's much more powerful.
Definitely more powerful. And finally, there are a number of additional information or optional sections you can include to further strengthen your application. What kind of things go here, and how do we decide what actually makes the cut?
Yeah, these sections are your chance to add a bit more depth and maybe some personality, but you always have to be strategic about it. They might cover things like computer skills beyond the core technical ones, languages, including proficiency level basic, conversational, fluent, volunteer work if it's not detailed elsewhere, maybe sports or significant interests, certifications like PMP or specific IT certs, professional memberships, or even publications and awards.
Quite a range.
It is. But the golden rule here, as our sources really emphasize, is quality over quantity applies only include sections that strengthen your application and are directly relevant, or at least add positive context, to the job you're seeking.
Right.
So if your hobby is, competitive eating and you're applying for an accounting role, it might not add much value.
Probably not.
Probably not. But if you're a keen open source contributor in your spare time and applying for a tech role, that's definitely worth including. It shows passion and skill beyond the classroom or workplace.
With all those elements in mind, let's talk about how you actually structure your experience on the page. There are primarily 3 resume formats you'll encounter, each suited for different career stages and experiences.
Right. The first one, and the most common, is the reverse chronological format. This is widely considered the gold standard for most applications, especially in the US and UK.
Okay.
It lists your work experience starting with your most recent position and working backward in time. This format is ideal if you have a fairly steady career progression and consistent employment history, because it clearly shows your growth over time.
So recruiters like this one?
Yeah, most recruiters prefer this format because it's easy to scan and clearly shows your recent career development. It answers that "what did you do last?" question immediately.
Then there's the functional skills-based format. This one takes a different approach entirely, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It emphasizes your abilities and strengths rather than focusing heavily on specific employment dates and job titles. This can be a real lifesaver for students, recent grads with very little formal work experience, maybe people with significant gaps in their employment history, or career changers who want to highlight transferable skills gathered from really diverse backgrounds.
Ours look.
This format typically groups your skills by category like communication skills, project management skills, or data analysis skills, and then provides specific achievements or examples within those skill areas, often without tying them to specific dates or jobs.
Interesting.
It can be effective, but some recruiters are a bit wary of it because it can sometimes obscure a spotty work history, so use it judiciously.
Okay. And the third option?
And finally, we have the combination format. As the name suggests, this format intelligently combines elements of both the chronological and functional approaches. It allows you to maybe group your experiences by functional areas first, perhaps research experience or teaching experience, and then within those sections, list the specific activities or roles in reverse chronological order.
Ah, like the best of both worlds.
Kind of, yeah. This can be very effective if you have diverse experiences you want to showcase under overarching skill themes, offering both a skills-focused overview and a chronological timeline within those skill categories. It gives structure while still highlighting key abilities.
Here's where it gets really interesting for many of you listening, especially those without that long history of traditional employment. These formats, particularly the functional and combination styles, can be incredibly adaptable, allowing you to highlight your strengths even when you feel like you're starting from scratch. It's about finding the structure that best tells your unique story, emphasizing what's most relevant to the role you're gunning for.
That's a perfect lead-in, because we really need to shift our mindset around what experience truly means. For anyone coming from dorms to desks, this is absolutely fundamental. College Recruiter, for instance, emphasizes that experience isn't limited to paid jobs or formal internships.
That's huge.
It really is. It's about demonstrating knowledge, showcasing initiative, and highlighting transferable skills. Employers, especially for entry-level roles, are often looking for potential, not perfection. And your non-traditional experiences are often key indicators of that potential. They want to see that spark, that drive, that willingness to learn.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? It means that pretty much everything you've done, from your toughest class projects to leading a campus club, from your weekend volunteer shifts to managing your own personal projects, can be reframed as valuable experience. Employers, especially those recruiting entry-level talent, understand that you're building your career story. They're often looking for that innate curiosity, that drive, that shows you'll be a great fit and a quick learner. It's really about how you articulate the skills you've gained, not just the title on a pay stub, right? It's about demonstrating your capacity to contribute.
Precisely. It's about translating what you did into the language. Employers understand skills, accomplishments, impact. Let's delve into how you can leverage academic and campus life specifically, because these are often overlooked gold mines of experience, especially for those just starting out.
Okay, great. Where do we start?
First, think hard about your class projects and academic work. If a specific course or a major project connects directly to the job you're applying for, it absolutely deserves a place on your resume.
How would you list that?
You can create a dedicated, relevant coursework section, or maybe an academic projects section. And don't just list the class title, describe the projects within it. Think about significant research papers, lab experiments you designed, group presentations you led, design work, complex coding assignments, or any collaborative assignments where you played a key role.
So give specifics.
Exactly. For instance, College Recruiter provides a great illustrative example. Led a team of 4 to develop a marketing campaign for a local business as part of a final project. That single sentence showcases not just experience in campaign development, but also leadership, teamwork, and project management skills, all without it being a paid job.
That's a fantastic example.
Or to take it further, think about a science student. Maybe designed and executed a 3-month-long genetic sequencing project, successfully identifying a novel mutation in Drosophila DNA utilizing PCR and bioinformatics software. That demonstrates research skills, technical proficiency, problem-solving, and project execution. Or for a humanities student, perhaps authored a 50-page thesis analyzing the socioeconomic impact of urban gentrification, involving extensive qualitative research, data interpretation, and persuasive writing. This highlights research, critical thinking, analytical skills, and strong communication. The key is always to break down the project into those transferable skills and, if possible, measurable outcomes.
And beyond the classroom itself, your extracurricular activities and campus involvement are incredibly valuable too, aren't they?
Oh, hugely valuable.
Yeah.
Leadership roles in clubs, organizations, sports teams, they demonstrate a wealth of transferable skills that directly translate to almost any workplace.
Like what kind of skills?
Well, Resume Genius breaks it down nicely. If you are involved in student government, you're demonstrating leadership, public speaking, negotiation skills, maybe budget management, and definitely prioritizing tasks. A club president shows planning ability, scheduling, delegating tasks, managing budgets, and communicating effectively with a group. Being part of a language club isn't just a hobby. It's a valuable asset in today's globalized world, showing cultural awareness and a specific hard skill. Arts involvement, whether it's theater, graphic design for a campus paper, playing in a band that highlights creativity, discipline, often teamwork, and unique problem-solving perspective.
And sports.
And sports participation just screams drive, motivation, discipline, resilience, teamwork, and communication under pressure, all things employers love.
So it's not just about listing the activity, but extracting the skills it helped you build.
Exactly. It's about the story the activity tells about you. College Recruiter gives another strong example. Planned and organized a fundraising event that successfully raised $2,000 for charity. This quantifies a clear impact, $2,000 raised, and demonstrates event planning, fundraising, leadership, and maybe even financial management skills. You can look at Harvard samples, too, like Jeanette Powell's role as a resident assistant or Joe Student as a program director for SAT Success. They effectively show how to detail these roles using action verbs and highlighting specific achievements, not just listing a title. An RA doesn't just help students. They might have mediated conflicts for 50 residents, fostering a positive community environment and reducing incident reports by 15%. That's specific and impactful.
That 15% reduction really makes it concrete. This emphasis on projects really highlights their power, doesn't it? They seem fantastic for showing practical experience, skills, and accomplishments, especially when you might not have a long list of traditional jobs yet.
They absolutely are. They're especially valuable for students, recent grads, career changers, freelancers, basically anyone lacking extensive formal work experience. Projects allow you to point to something concrete you actually built, analyzed, or managed. It demonstrates initiative and capability in a really tangible way.
So what kinds of projects can we include?
Well, Resume Genius outlines several types you can leverage. First, academic projects, as we just discussed. List these maybe in your education section or a dedicated project section. Include the project's name, the dates or semester it took place, and a short description highlighting the relevant skills you used or developed.
Right.
For example, led a group of 4 students to coordinate with Philadelphia History Museum to help document and preserve Renaissance-era historical articles. That shows leadership, project coordination, maybe attention to detail, depending on the specifics.
Okay. What else?
Then there are work projects. These would naturally go under your work experience section. Here, you'd use action verbs and hard numbers to detail specific initiatives you undertook within a job role, even if it was an internship or part-time job.
So even if your job title was just intern, a significant project you contributed to could really stand out.
Precisely. Don't just list duties. List projects and accomplishments within those duties. And then you have freelance projects. These can go in your professional experience section or maybe a dedicated freelance work or consulting project section.
How would you list those?
You detail the client or type of client if confidential, your duties, key achievements, quantified if possible, and the dates. An impressive example might be completely overhauled an existing e-commerce platform to improve user experience for a small business client, resulting in reduced page load times by 60% and improving SEO rankings by 2 positions within 3 months.
Wow, that's specific and shows real impact.
Exactly. It demonstrates technical skills, problem solving, client management, and measurable results. And don't forget personal projects. These are your passion projects, the things you do outside of formal work or school that demonstrate relevant skills.
Where do these go?
You typically create a personal projects or maybe relevant projects section for these. For instance, if you're applying for a social media manager role, maybe you have a travel blog you designed to maintain yourself.
Okay.
You could describe it by saying something like, designed, launched, and manage a personal travel blog, blog name URL, creating bi-weekly content, articles, photos, videos, growing audience engagement by 30% over 6 months, and utilizing SEO best practices and graphic design tools, Canva, Adobe Express. That demonstrates design skills, content creation, engagement strategies, analytics understanding, and specific tool proficiency, all directly applicable, even though you weren't paid for it.
That's a great example. What about for tech roles?
Absolutely. For a software developer, maybe a personal open source project you contribute to on GitHub, or even a simple app you built to solve a personal problem. You could list it like developed app name and Android application for purpose using Java and Squide, published on Google Play Store link if applicable. It showcases coding ability, problem solving, initiative, and the ability to complete a project end to end.
Okay, so projects are powerful. A common question that probably comes up is, how many should you actually include?
That's a good question. If you're creating a separate section for them, the general advice is to limit yourself to maybe the 3 to 5 most recent and most applicable ones. Quality and relevance always trump quantity. It's much better to deeply explain 3 really impactful projects than to briefly list 10 minor ones that don't really connect to the job.
Makes perfect sense. Moving beyond projects, volunteer work is another area you mentioned as an absolute skill-building goldmine.
It really is. It's not just about, doing good deeds, though that's great too. It demonstrates your motivation, your passion for a cause, and often a whole host of incredibly valuable transferable skills like teamwork, organization, communication, leadership, empathy. The list goes on.
And employers value it.
Many do. Plus, it shows community involvement, which can be seen as a sign of being a well-rounded person and potentially a good team player. Remember that LinkedIn survey finding 1 in 5 hiring managers consider volunteer experience a real hiring factor.
Wow, 1 in 5. So who benefits most from highlighting this?
Well, it's particularly important for those with limited paid professional experience, like students who are just starting out. It's also great for career changers who might have gaps on their resume or want to highlight leadership skills they haven't yet had the chance to develop in a traditional professional setting.
Okay, so how should you list it? Same as regular work?
Pretty much, yeah. If the volunteer work is significant and relevant, use the same format as your work experience. Include the organization's name, your role or title, even if informal, like team lead or event organizer, the location, the time frame you volunteered, and then bulleted accomplishments using action verbs and hard numbers whenever possible.
Give me an example.
Sure. Instead of just volunteered at food bank, you could say, food bank volunteer, city food bank, Anytown, USA, June 2023 present, then bullets like, trained 5 new volunteers on intake procedures, helping them develop a strong commitment to community service, reducing onboarding time by 20%. Or help prepare and dish out meals to over 200 clients per day, ensuring efficient and compassionate service delivery.
That's much stronger. It shows training, leadership, efficiency.
Exactly. It moves beyond just helped out to quantifying your contribution and highlighting specific skills. Now, if the volunteer work is maybe less directly relevant to the job, you could use a shorter format in a dedicated volunteer experience or community service section. Perhaps just listing the organization and role without detailed bullet points.
Okay.
Harvard HES also provides strong samples showing effective ways to present volunteer efforts, like Kelly T. Victory's work as a volunteer in Latin America. You can imagine her writing something like coordinated logistics for medical mission trips, serving 5 remote villages, managing travel, supplies, and translation needs for a team of 12 medical professionals, which demonstrates incredible logistical planning and cross-cultural communication skills.
That's impressive. And let's not dismiss part-time jobs and hobbies either. Even seemingly unrelated part-time gigs or weekend work can be incredibly valuable, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate them. Those roles, whether it's retail, food service, maybe babysitting, driving for a rideshare, or even dog walking, they often demand and help you develop highly sought-after transferable skills. Things like time management, communication, conflicts resolution, problem-solving under pressure, and customer service are built in these roles.
How do you frame those?
Think about the underlying skills. A retail job isn't just folding clothes. It teaches inventory management, handling transactions accurately, maybe upselling or customer negotiation, and definitely dealing with diverse personalities. A food service role builds incredible resilience, teamwork in a high-stress environment, and rapid problem-solving when things go wrong.
So true.
College Recruiter offers a great example phrase. Provided exceptional customer service in a fast-paced retail restaurant environment, consistently resolving customer issues quickly and ensuring guest satisfaction, contributing to a 10% increase in positive online reviews. Or, for a babysitting role, manage schedules, meals, and educational activities for 3 children aged 4 to 10, demonstrating strong organizational skills, responsibility, and adaptability. It's all about extracting those underlying universally valuable skills.
Okay. And what about hobbies and interests? When should you include those?
The advice here is generally to include these only if they are relevant to the job you want, or if they genuinely give insight into your personality, motivations, or specific skills in a way that strengthens your application.
So not just random hobbies.
Probably not. But for instance, if you're applying to a tech startup known for its collaborative, maybe slightly nerdy culture, listing relevant tech-related hobbies like coding personal projects, building websites, contributing to open source, or being proficient in tools like Figma or Adobe Photoshop could be highly beneficial. Resume Genius suggests adding these maybe in a dedicated skills or interests section with bullet points. You see examples in the Harvard HES samples too, like Joe Frosch listing jazz and basketball. Now, these might seem unrelated, but they could subtly hint at things like creativity and improvisation, jazz, or teamwork, discipline, and competitiveness, basketball. If the rest of your resume is strong, these can add a touch of personality and well-roundedness. The key is always relevance and strategic inclusion. If your hobby gives real insight into your work ethic, like running marathons might suggest endurance and goal setting, a specific skill set, like chess suggesting strategic thinking for an analyst role, or a passion that genuinely aligns with the company's mission or culture, it can be a subtle but potentially powerful differentiator. It helps paint a fuller picture of who you are beyond just the work and education sections.
This all raises a really important question. We've talked a lot about identifying and showcasing these diverse experiences, pulling out skills from everywhere. But how do you really articulate them? How do you weave them together into a coherent and truly compelling narrative that makes them stand out for an employer? Not just on the resume, but in your entire application package. I guess that's where the cover letter really comes into play. But before we dive headfirst into the cover letter, let's just quickly touch on some special considerations for conveying your education, especially for those who might have unique academic paths, which seems increasingly common these days, like students coming from extension programs or having a mix of different academic experiences.
Exactly. That's a great point.
Hey, this is William Tincup, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Practitioner Corner podcast. It's a wonderful podcast about the journey, the paths of how practitioners, both HR and TA, kind of go from high school, college, all the way to where they are right now. Some of the things that they've learned, how they've been successful, people that thrive around them, etc. It's a fun podcast. You'll love it. You'll learn from it. Subscribe to it. Thanks.
The Mignon Center for Career Success at Harvard, for example, provides really specific guidance for students on how to correctly list their degrees if they come from specialized programs, like a Bachelor of Liberal Arts in Extension Studies or a Master of Liberal Arts in Extension Studies. The main principle here is just precision and clarity. Always use the exact official nomenclature of your degree to avoid any confusion. Don't abbreviate or paraphrase it.
Okay.
And they also offer clear sample formats for including not just full degree programs, but also things like graduate certificates or even single highly relevant classes you might have completed. The key, as always, is to emphasize what coursework, awards, honors, projects, or campus involvement is specifically relevant to the specific job you're applying for.
So you might need extra sections.
Yeah, you might even consider separate academic projects or volunteer and activity sections if you need more space to provide detailed descriptions of really relevant experiences. Think about listing things like Dean's List awards, specific relevant coursework like data modeling, natural language processing, or cloud services, and especially capstone projects with descriptive titles like Enterprise Data Lake Implementation Strategy or Financial Market Volatility Analysis using machine learning. These examples are specific, they demonstrate tangible skills, and they directly align with potential career goals.
That's really helpful. What about applying internationally?
Yes. On an even broader scale, Harvard HES also touches on international aspirations. If you plan to work internationally, it's super important to know that resume guidelines, or CV guidelines, as they're often called elsewhere, can vary significantly from country to country.
How so?
Well, for instance, in some European countries, it's quite common, even expected, to include a photograph on your CV. Whereas in the US, Canada, and the UK, it's generally advised against due to anti-discrimination laws and concerns about unconscious bias. Other differences might include length. CVs are often longer than resumes. Expected level of personal detail, like marital status, which is common in some places but not others, and formatting norms. You really need to research the conventions of the specific country you're targeting.
Good advice. Anything else on the international front?
Definitely be aware of formatting, especially for PDF conversion. You want to ensure your document looks exactly the same as you intended it to, regardless of the computer or system it's opened on. PDF is usually the safest bet. Stanford also adds specific advice for international students applying within the U.S. regarding things like non-immigrant visa status or listing a permanent address if it's outside the U.S. They suggest it might be better to discuss such details later in an interview, rather than putting them on the initial resume, just to avoid potentially being screened out prematurely based on perceived complexities around sponsorship. It's all about providing information strategically and at the right stage of the process.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so you've meticulously crafted this amazing resume. It's filled with all your relevant experiences, no matter how unconventional they might seem. You've identified those transferable skills, quantified your achievements, and presented them clearly using strong action verbs. Now it's time for the ultimate companion piece, the document that truly allows your personality and your story to shine through, the cover letter.
Yes. Your cover letter is so much more than just a formality or an introduction. Harvard and Stanford both emphasize that it's seen as a writing sample and part of the screening process.
A writing sample too.
Absolutely. It's your prime opportunity to introduce yourself properly, clearly state your objective, why this job at this company, personalize your resume by elaborating on maybe one or two key points, and highlight information that specifically addresses the needs and interests of that particular employer and that particular role. This is where you explicitly connect the dots between your experiences and what they're looking for.
And the impression it makes is critical, isn't it? You mentioned it's a rating sample.
It really is. The quality of your cover letter gives employers a direct window into your attentiveness to detail, spelling, grammar, and the overall quality of your written communication. This means that any flaws or errors, typos, grammatical mistakes, awkward phrasing will often be interpreted, maybe unfairly but realistically, as flaws in your qualifications or your professional diligence. Yeah, it's a harsh but important lesson. The ultimate goal here, to make the addressee want to read your resume, be brief but specific. It's essentially your sales pitch for getting that interview.
Okay, so let's break down the anatomy of an effective cover letter, using the guidance from Harvard, HES, and Stanford. What's the structure?
It should always follow a standard business format. That means including your contact information at the top, name, address, phone, email, the date, and then the recipient's contact information, name, title, company address. And whenever humanly possible, address it to a specific person with their correct title, rather than a generic "Dear Hiring Manager" or "To whom it may concern."
How do you find the name?
A little research usually does the trick. LinkedIn, the company website's About Us or team page, sometimes even a quick call to the company's front desk asking who is handling hiring for that role. It shows initiative and makes the letter feel much more personal.
Good tip. What about the opening?
Your opening paragraph needs to be crystal clear and instantly engaging. Don't beat around the bush. Clearly state why you are writing, the specific position you're applying for. Mention the exact title if you know it. How you heard about the opportunity, e.g., as advertised on College Recruiter, referred by Jane Doe, and briefly, what makes you a strong immediate fit.
Be specific then.
Absolutely. Tie it directly to the role requirements mentioned in the job description. Don't waste precious space with generic statements like, I am writing to apply for a job. Be direct. For example, I am writing to express my enthusiastic interest in the marketing coordinator position, advertised on College Recruiter. My proven success in leading campus marketing campaigns, particularly in digital engagement, which I know is a focus for your team, aligns perfectly with the requirements of this role.
Nice and direct.
Yeah.
Then the middle.
The middle paragraphs are where you really connect your personal story to the position. This is your chance to provide specific examples that demonstrate your fit. But crucially, as the sources say, do not reiterate your entire resume.
Okay, don't just repeat it.
Right. Instead, select maybe one or two key achievements or experiences from your resume, perhaps a significant project, a relevant volunteer role, or a specific skill you developed and elaborate on them. Explain how that experience is relevant to the role you're applying for and what you accomplished. Be confident in clarifying this connection.
This sounds like the core of the letter.
It really is. This paragraph is arguably the most important writing sample for the employer. It showcases your ability to communicate effectively and persuasively, demonstrates your analytical thought process in connecting your past experiences to their future needs, and essentially brings those resume bullet points to life with context and narrative.
So if your resume just says coordinated fundraising event, this is where you expand on that.
Exactly. This is where you tell the story behind that bullet point. You might write something like, in my role as event coordinator for the campus charity drive last semester, I successfully managed a budget of $2,000 and led a team of 10 volunteers. By implementing a new social media outreach strategy, we exceeded our fundraising target by 150%. This experience not only honed my project management and budgeting skills, but also my ability to motivate diverse teams towards a common goal, skills I am confident would be invaluable in supporting your community outreach initiatives.
Much more compelling. What about a closing?
Finally, in your closing paragraph, you should reiterate your strong interest and enthusiasm for the specific position and the company. Briefly mention why you're excited about this opportunity, thank the reader sincerely for their time and consideration, and then clearly state that you look forward to the opportunity to further discuss the position or my qualifications in an interview.
Should you mention following up?
Stanford suggests that you can state you will follow up by phone or email within a specified time frame. Just, I will follow up next week to confirm receipt of my application and discuss next steps. This can demonstrate initiative and a proactive attitude. However, only promise a follow-up if you genuinely intend to do it, and be mindful of the company's stated application process. Sometimes they explicitly ask you not to follow up. Use your judgment.
Good point. So, to ensure success with the cover letter, what are the key principles we need to remember?
Okay, several key principles. First, as with the resume, always tailor it. Address it to a specific person if possible, and thoroughly research the organization, its mission, its recent news, and the specific role to customize your letter. Generic, copy-paste letters stand out for all the wrong reasons. Show you've done your homework.
Right.
Second, prioritize conciseness. Keep your letter concise and factual. Ideally, it should be no more than a single page, usually around 3 or 4 paragraphs. Avoid flowery language, jargon, or overly complex sentences. Every word should earn its place. Get straight to the point.
Keep it tight.
Exactly. Third, always give specific examples that support your skills and qualifications. As the sources advise, try to put yourself in the reader's shoes. What specific evidence or stories will convince them that you're the right person for this job? Focus on accomplishments and results.
Okay. What else?
Fourth, be mindful of your language. Try not to overuse the pronoun I. Frame things around the company's needs and how you can meet them. And just like on your resume, use lots of action words to make your contributions clear and dynamic.
Makes sense.
Fifth, ensure formatting consistency. Your resume and cover letter should ideally use the same font type and size and similar margins, presenting a cohesive professional package. And always check how it looks if you convert it to a PDF, as formatting can sometimes shift unexpectedly, making it look unprofessional. PDF is generally the safest format to send.
Good technical tip. What about applying online?
Yes. For online submissions, which are super common now, often through web forms, remember these cover letters are frequently expected to be much shorter, maybe half the length of a traditional one.
Really?
Often, it's just the nature of the application portal, or recruiters are reading them even faster on screen. So they should specifically emphasize how you found the position, what unique value you offer, and your key matching skills, all very succinctly. Be as brief and impactful as possible.
Any tips for writing those?
A crucial pro tip. Always compose your online cover letter offline first, maybe in a Word doc or Google Doc. Then copy and paste it into the online form. This prevents you from accidentally submitting an incomplete draft if you hit the wrong button, or losing all your work if your internet connection glitches or the web page times out. It happens.
Oh, that's a lifesaver tip.
It really can be. And again, Harvard HES provides some excellent sample cover letters, like those from Jacob A. McLean and Georgina Santiago, that demonstrate all these principles beautifully. They show how to be both professional and genuinely personalized, telling a compelling story.
All right, you've put in the work, you've reframed your experience, you've painstakingly crafted your resume, maybe even multiple versions, and you've written a compelling, tailored cover letter. Now, for that final polish, that critical last look before you hit send or submit, here's a quick checklist to make sure you're truly ready to take that next big step from the dorms to the desks.
Okay, this is crucial. First and foremost, proofread carefully. And then proofread again. And maybe have someone else proofread it too.
Seriously?
Seriously. Check for every single spelling, grammar, and punctuation error. Don't rely solely on yourself or spell check. Those won't catch everything, like using there instead of there. Ask a trusted teacher, a career counselor, a friend with good grammar skills, or a mentor to review your documents. A fresh pair of eyes catches things you've become completely blind to. Remember, even one typo can undermine your credibility.
Okay, proofread. Got it. Next.
Ensure absolute consistency. Is your formatting consistent throughout both your resume and cover letter? We're talking font style and size, bullet point style, spacing, date formats, heading styles. It needs to look like a matched set. This signals attention to detail and creates a polished, professional impression.
Right. And the language.
Always, always start each bullet point on your resume with a strong action verb. We talked about those power words. They convey your responsibilities and achievements effectively and tell a recruiter immediately what you actually did. Go back and check every single bullet.
And remember to quantify. We mention this a lot, but it bears repeating. Include numbers, percentages, dollar amounts, or specific examples to illustrate your accomplishments whenever possible, even if it's just an estimate for a volunteer role or school project. Managed a budget of $2,000 is far more impactful than just managed a budget. Numbers provide concrete evidence of your impact.
Maintain absolute professionalism. Use a professional-sounding email address. Avoid unnecessary graphics, photos, unless specifically requested or standard in that country, or overly complex, distracting layouts. A clean, simple, easy-to-read document is always more appealing and less likely to confuse recruiters or ATS systems.
Double-check the sections. Did you include all the necessary resume sections for the specific job you're applying for? Think about whether you need that skills section or a project section, or if your education should come before experience. Tailor the structure too.
And when you save your files, use a clear file naming convention and the right file type. Always save as a PDF unless the application specifically requests another format, like .docs. PDF preserves your formatting across different computers and operating systems. And use a professional, easily identifiable file name like last name, first name, resume company name, or last name, first name, cover letter company name. Don't submit something vague like my resume final v3 really final .docs.
Definitely not. Critically, remember the cover letter companion. Unless the application explicitly says not to include one, always pair your resume with a tailored cover letter. They work together as a team to tell your full story. The cover letter provides the narrative context and highlights your motivation, while the resume backs it up with the detailed facts and evidence.
And finally, let's hammer this home one last time, the overarching theme of our whole deep dive today. Tailor. Customize your resume and your cover letter for each specific job you apply for. Use keywords directly from the job description. Highlight the skills and experiences they explicitly ask for. This is, without a doubt, your best chance to stand out in a competitive applicant pool and speak directly to the employer's specific needs. It shows you're serious and you've done your research.
So we've really come full circle today, haven't we? We started with that universal challenge of having limited traditional work experience, and hopefully we've helped you reframe your entire understanding of what experience truly means. Mm-hmm. We've explored how to meticulously identify and highlight your academic work, your personal projects, your volunteer efforts, and even those part-time jobs, extracting all those valuable transferable skills. And we've dissected the art of crafting a cover letter that doesn't just introduce you, but actively sells your potential and makes a really compelling case for you.
And remember, every single professional, no matter how senior, started somewhere. Often, the most compelling career stories are told not just by listing what you did, but by clearly showing how your actions led to positive outcomes. And it doesn't matter as much where those actions took place, whether it was in a classroom, a club, a volunteer setting, or a part-time job.
That's a great way to put it.
Your ability to identify those transferable skills, articulate those positive outcomes, and connect them directly to a future employer's needs, that's your superpower, especially early in your career. So the question to leave you with is, what story will you tell with your next application? How will you make your unique potential absolutely undeniable?
That's a powerful thought to end on. With the preparation we've outlined today, with hopefully a renewed sense of confidence in the value you already bring and a willingness to keep learning and refining your story, you are absolutely ready to take that next big step in your career journey.
You really are.
We encourage you, really, to go back, revisit your own experiences, all of them, with this new lens. Start crafting that career story that truly stands out and helps you open those doors, getting you from the dorms to the desks you're aiming for.
This has been From Dorms to Desks, job hunting tips for those early in their careers, a podcast brought to you by college recruiter job search site, which believes that every student and recent grad deserves a great career. Each episode, we dive into tips, tricks, and insights that will help you land your next part-time, seasonal, internship, or entry-level job. Subscribe to this podcast for free now, so you don't miss an episode, and visit www.collegerecruiter.com to find your next great job.
¿Hablas español?
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Kan du norsk?
If you used Babbel, you would. Babbel's conversation-based techniques teaches you useful words and phrases to get you speaking quickly about the things you actually talk about in the real world, with lessons handcrafted by over 200 language experts and voiced by real native speakers. Babbel is like having a private tutor in your pocket. Start speaking with Babbel today. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription right now at babbel.com/Spotify. Spelled BABBEL.com/Spotify. Rules and restrictions may apply.